growing up, I was always a little bit of a rebel. Like, I remember a long time ago, my mom would take me with her shopping, and we would go to like J.C. Penney's, and I would go back in the dressing room with her. And I remember being a little kid and crawling around on the ground, and you know those tags underneath the furniture that say like "Do not remove." Like, I could just remember one day I've discovered that inside of the J.C. Penney dressing room, and I ripped it off, and I was like, I wonder if all these other stools have this. And I was just crawling around looking. I was just looking to break the mold, man, looking to tear the labels off. And growing up, I was an athlete. I played football, and I was never a great student, but I always found school kind of easy and boring. And I realized early on I could cram and pass the tests. So I didn't have to do all the homework. I didn't have to do those things. And man, I drove my mom and dad crazy. But I graduated barely. I got just enough of a GPA to let me into community college, to get me into the college, right? And it's hilarious, man, because when I became a school teacher, man, I bet some of my old teachers were rolling over in their grave when they saw Shane Sams going into the classroom and getting in front of a bunch of students to mold young minds into the future. But that's kind of how I was growing up. I was always pushing boundaries, man. You know what I'm saying?
I love that you said that, because I was just talking to somebody the other day, and it's amazing. One of my first group presentations, I'm in financial services, and I got my license. I'm 21 years old. You described me perfectly. I mean, right. I was the bad kid, not the, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I got bad grades.
Wasn't the model student they wanted you to be, basically.
I was not going to be a teacher one day, me personally. Yeah. And all of a sudden I found myself giving group presentations, teaching teachers about money and teaching about insurances and investments and retirement accounts and all this kind of stuff. And so it was kind of a cool little thing. What did your parents do for a living? Like, did you grow up poor, middle class, rich?
I would definitely say through the 80s into the middle of the 90s, we were lower middle class. You know what I'm saying? We had everything we needed, but we were definitely not wealthy. We were driving cars that were 10, 15 years old, things like that. My dad was an insurance agent. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So I'd say the late 90s, things got a little better. I'd say we stepped up into that middle class, and we kind of started seeing a little bit more success and things like that. But it was definitely a blue collar environment. It was definitely a get up, go to work. You do your 9 to 5 or your 9 to 7, whatever it takes. You go out and you bring home your bacon, and that's it. You just kind of get that nice, what is it called? The American dream, 2.2 cars, 2.2 kid kind of lifestyle. And I don't remember, all my brothers, they were blue collar guys, hardworking guys. The grandparents were policemen, and the people next to us were coal miners, and that's kind of the environment that I come from. I mean, Southeast Kentucky. The most famous businessman I knew about was Colonel Sanders, because we're in the same town as the first Kentucky Fried Chicken. So that's the only thing I really knew about entrepreneurship, man. Right? Was the Colonel. So that's kind of my background, man. But it gave me that small town kind of mentality. We did work hard. We did know those things. And when I was able to apply it to something else, it was cool to have those small town, hardworking values to apply over on the business side, on the entrepreneurship side.
Yeah. My brother-in-law, his father was one of the first Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise owners.
Oh, get out of here, man.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, my brother-in-law, when he was a little kid, I mean, he has a picture in his office of him and the Colonel when he was just 5 years old or something.
They say that guy was mean as a snake, man. He used to threaten people if they didn't get their checks in on time. He'd come take those pots so they couldn't cook any more chicken, man. He was hard. He was hard on his franchise. He's to make sure, or if they tried to change his recipe, he would just be like, "Nope, you're done. I'm out. We're making chicken the Colonel's way, or we're not making it at all."
I love you, man. I love it. I love it. It's just, I think about entrepreneurship because you didn't think about entrepreneurship in the beginning, right? I mean, this was something that, you're just going along, kind of doing your life and, making an average wage as a school teacher and kind of doing your thing. And then all of a sudden, bam, what happened, man?
Yeah, I was on the railroad track. I mean, my wife, she was a librarian. I was a social studies teacher and a football coach, and we were on that railroad track to retirement. We had a good life. I mean, we had the 2.2 cars, 2.2 kids, above ground pool, all that. We were living it up, man. Nice neighborhood. And we had a paycheck, got paid on Friday, it ran out on Thursday, but we got paid
Mhm.
every Friday. We kept getting paid. And one day I was doing what a lot of working parents do, Daniel. I was taking my kid to daycare. We had to use daycare. My son was at one facility. He was about 3 years old at the time. My daughter was over at another facility that kept babies because she was under two. And Jocelyn would take Anna Joe to her daycare center, going one way to her end of the county, and I'd get on my commute and drop Isaac off on the other. And I was trying to get Isaac out of the car one cold winter morning here in Kentucky, and he had that puffy coat on. I couldn't really get the seatbelt off of his arms, and we were wrestling and fighting. And my son was screaming and crying, and he was so upset. And he just looked at me and said, "Stop, Dad. She scares me." And I paused, and I said, "What did you say?" And he said, "She scares me." And I said, "Who scares me?" And he let me know who it was. And then my son told me that one of the daycare workers was locking him in a bathroom for hours at a time, and turning out the lights in the dark, punishing him for potty training accidents. We would later find out through the newspapers that there was a lot of abuse like this going on in this facility. One child, they just in the paper, it said that a lady was sitting on children with a beanbag chair when they were out of control, and she couldn't get them to calm down. And I'm standing here shocked that this is happening. I don't know how to process it. I mean, my son's only 3 to 4 years old at the time. He's 3.5 years old, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know if he's telling me things correctly. I don't want to like run in and burn down the building and have my facts wrong. And I'll also at the same time, I've got to be at school. I mean, teaching is a weird job. Like, you are contractually obligated to keep other people's children safe. And I had 30 high school juniors waiting for me in that classroom, so I needed to be at work. I tried to call Jocelyn. I couldn't get a hold of her. I tried to call my boss. Couldn't get a hold of him. And I did the only thing that my brain could handle at that moment. I drove over to my daughter's daycare. There was a lady there that had kept Isaac when he was a baby, and I trusted her explicitly. And I told her, I said, something's going on. I've got to investigate this. I got to figure out what's going on. Can I leave him here? I need to run to work and tell them what's going on so that somebody can watch my class for me. I can't get a hold of anyone. And she said, "Yeah, Shane, you can, but this facility is only for babies. We are not allowed to keep kids over 2 years old. You have got to come back." And I promised her I would come back. So I got in my car, drove to my school, got another teacher to watch my classroom. And then I went down to find my boss, find my principal, to tell him what happened. My principal was gone that day. There was an interim principal there. She was an older lady that had kind of come out of retirement to help out while they were looking for an assistant principal or something. I told her the exact story that I just told you. And she just leaned back real calm, took her glasses off, set them down on her table. And she looked at me and said, "Mr. Sams, is your son in immediate danger right now?" I said, "Well, no, but this is crazy and I've got to go help him and I got to figure this out. Can you give me a sub or watch my class?" And just kind of annoyed, she looked at me, Daniel, and said, "You know, I can't watch your class today. My agenda is completely packed, and the rules. It's after school started. All the subs are out. So I don't have anyone to watch your students. I know your son needs you, but your job needs you too. And you're going to have to handle your personal problems after work. You'll be out of here at 3:30, and you'll probably make it back before they close. So you won't be leaving them there all day. You can't leave." And I was shocked, man. I was just stunned and frozen. And I said, "That's unacceptable. What happens if I leave?" And she threatened me. She was like, "You'll get in trouble. You will get in trouble. You can't just leave your students." And I said, "Well, I can't just leave my son either." So I left. And man, I was driving home back to Isaac that day, and I looked myself in the mirror, and I was mad, man. I was righteously furious. And I wasn't mad at the daycare worker. I wasn't mad at my boss. I was mad at myself. I just realized I had sold myself into like indentured servitude. I had given someone permission to put other things ahead of my family, and the trade-off was a little paycheck and some health insurance. And man, I made a promise to myself right then and there that I was going to find a way to never have to answer anyone again. I was going to find a way to become and stay self-employed. and make sure that whenever my family or my son or my daughter or my wife needed me, I would never have to ask permission. I could drop everything on a dime, and I would be there for them no matter what. And that's what pushed us off the cliff of entrepreneurship and made us start looking for some way to make our entire living. Now, I was far away from online business at this point. This was 2012. There was no online business back then, I don't think.
Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.